This is the world's largest transaction area of narcotics, child prostitution, animal trafficking, and slave trade. The scope of the area of operations starts at Yunnan province in China, going to eastern Burma, and then through northern Thailand, passing through Chiang Mai, and then to northern Laos, returning back to Yunnan province. It's sometimes represented as a diamond or a square, but others know it as the triangle of death, here where death is ever present. They've even built a new temple, a temple of hell, as a symbol of the dangers that this place holds. We all must pay for our sins in the end. This is where the Ruak and Mekong rivers join. The building being built on the Lao side is one aspect of many aspects that goes on in this place. This place is a place of darkness, covered in darkness, where all unethical and immoral activity takes place. Sanctioned by the governments of Thailand, Burma, and Laos, which you will soon see why. This was one of the main areas used along the Mekong River for drug trafficking between Burma, Thailand, and Laos. And now that they are building this casino, the problems will only increase. In the last 10 years, the abduction of persons has only increased, as well as the trafficking of narcotics across the borders. And as long as there is a buyer, the trade will continue. Especially on the Burmese and Lao sides. The two governments have given permission to Chinese syndicate organizations, usually working for the Chinese Communist Party, to kidnap women and children. And the building being built is owned by one of those such syndicate organizations based in Hong Kong. The name of the company is King's Romans International. They have been given a 99-year lease from the Lao government. An area of 102 square kilometers or 39.4 square miles of a special economic zone which occupies 7 kilometers or 4.2 miles of the Mekong River bank, directly across from the Burmese and Thai sides. The larger building is the hotel, and next to it is the casino itself. Not far away is there a shopping area for local and international merchants. However, most of the international merchandise is probably knockoffs. King's Romans International, who is currently building the casino, also had another casino on the Burmese side, but now it is run by a Thai company. The first casino they built was actually in Thailand, and it too is run by a Thai company now. There is no doubt that these casinos are the direct cause of the increase of trafficking persons and narcotics. One thing to keep in mind, according to the British Environmental Investigation Agency, that this new economic zone granted by the Lao government allows people to openly buy endangered animals and illegal substances. One of the things that went on in the previous economic zones was that there was many murders, which was one of the reasons why they were put out of Thailand and Burma. There are many other reasons, I'm sure, but this one was certainly one of those such reasons. How did it come to be this way? Opium was used for many thousands of years, and even in medieval Europe, as a substance to relieve pain. But this all changed in 1804 when Suderner, a German chemist, isolated a form of opium into morphine, which it was later largely used in the American Civil War, or the War of the States, and as a result many of the wounded who had received opium became addicted to it. and thus, in 1898, heroin was first synthesized from opium, and it proved to be even more addicting than morphine. And this only increased the demand for the product. By the 1890s, France had secured most of Indochina, consisting of modern-day Laos, Vietnam, and Cambodia, and part of eastern Thailand. And because opium was so lucrative, they started mass producing it and even preferring to take taxes in opium, which the Han people were the main group of people that produced the substance. Unfortunately, the Laotian people took advantage of the Han people who had fled China in the 1800s from the Han Chinese, who had resettled in northern Laos and northern Vietnam, sometimes demanding 3 times the amount that the French had asked for, and thus there was a war thereafter, known to some as the Madman's War, which ended in the defeat of the Han and the leader of the revolt, General Pa Che, in 1921. For 3 years the French government tried to apprehend him. It was only after some of the Han people who opposed him had him assassinated that the war ended. One important fact about the devil-possessed General Pa Che, and why so many followed him, was that when he went into a deep trance, he could jump onto roofs and grind up eggs and then retrieve them whole from the grinder. Because of this, the French did not punish the Han people, but rather rewarded them with some self-autonomy, having the local Han people attend to administration rather than the Laotians who mistreated them, because they were outsiders. And this may have been done to secure the opium, which the Han people were the largest producers of in the French territory. I've just gotten on the train in Yangon, heading north to the Triangle. To more perfectly understand how Burma became the source of the majority of the world's opium, we must revisit the year 1948, when Burma gained independence from the British Empire. Many of the tribes in the former British colony wanted their own independence and to be separate from Burma. People, especially those in government, are not willing to give up power so freely, and thus a military campaign against these tribes, which continues to this very day, eradication, abduction, selling them in Chinese markets as slaves, relocated to other cities within Burma, and burning the villages thereafter from whence these people came, keeping the people more divided and deterring others from joining the fight, whilst preventing them from assembling in large numbers. The military state is using the opium to fund these wars, particularly those of the Shan and Kachin states. In 1962, the Burmese government outlawed opium to drive up the prices of opium to help pay more for the war against the tribal states, and to hinder the efforts of the tribal states from making any revenue from the product. They also secure using the military drugs that come from China, exporting them either in Yangon or through Thailand and Laos. Out of these conflicts rose a warlord who fought as a soldier for Communist China in the Indochina Wars against France. His name was Kun San. Kun San, known as the Drug King throughout the 1980s and 90s, controlled 70% of the world's heroin. Later, he asked many countries for support of a Shan state, and even asked U.S. President Bill Clinton if he would support him, that in exchange he would outlaw opium and burn all the fields. After these statements, he became a primary target for the CIA, and a $2 million bounty was put for his capture. This was done to protect the special interests of the pharmaceutical companies, who buy an estimated 40 to 45% of the world's opium. A few years later, he decided to surrender himself and retired in Yangon, later dying in 2007. There is a Christian organization called Pachasan in the Kachin state. They formed together in the year 2014 in helping others detox from their addictions and have been destroying whole poppy fields. They identify themselves as Baptists, and because they destroy the opium and confiscate drugs being smuggled in from China, the government sometimes interferes with them. They have put some in prison and even have killed others while burning poppy fields. What I found in eastern and central Burma, that there were some factories that processed the opium into heroin and into meth. Now there was also a Buddhist monastery which an American charity organization funded a program for those seeking rehabilitation. As part of the program, they're required to help in the kitchens and make sure that the monastery grounds are clean. This monk with the glasses is one of the main administrators who reports on the program in Washington, D.C. As of July 2018, there were only a few formal addicts in the program, but looking to help more in the future. Also in Sagaing, a city not far from Mandalay, there was a school that was funded by many charities, including one in the U.S., allowing children whose families have addicts and other poor families who can't afford to pay for public schools. This is the principal of the school who told me much about the program. Some of the children here come from religious families, which is why they wear monk and nun outfits. Other families are either unreligious, Catholic, or Christian, so they wear regular clothing instead of the traditional religious outfits. It is good to know that some people are helping the situation and trying to better the lives of those around them. Today it is a national holiday in Thailand, as it is the birthday of Buddha. In this part of the world they don't use the Gregorian calendar, but they use Buddha's birthday as the calendar instead. His birthday being the first of the year. In Thailand, it is the year 2563. Because of the wars against the tribal nations in Burma, they have fled to Thailand. Due to abduction and eradication by the Burmese government in these wars, many of them living in Chiang Mai. Many of the Burmese that have fled are actually of the Karen or hill tribes that live in the region. They live in Laos, Thailand, and Burma. It is not uncommon to see them begging or selling goods on the streets, or missing limbs or having injuries from which they sustained from the wars in Burma. There are also other villages in the region. Often, many of the Karen or hill tribes move their village from place to place, here in Chiang Mai and Chiang Rai regions, but others have permanent settlements. They have begun selling their merchandise to locals and some tourists who come to their villages. The role that Thailand plays in the triangle, besides the Hon and the other tribes that have fled from Laos and Burma in past times, is that the majority of the opium grown in the triangle is processed in Thailand. And the new king of Thailand, King Rama X, his name should be the king of cocaine, since he is known to have used it quite often. In 2001, for his third wife's birthday party, his wife showing up with only a G-string on, and then decided to officially appoint their dog Fufu as the chief marshal of the Thai Air Force. It is clear that he is not a leader to handle the situation. For the last 200 years, opium has been a very valuable commodity and has been used to fund wars, including the 2 opium wars, and today it is still being used in Burma and in China to fund wars against other ethnic groups within their political borders. Other wars are also in part funded by the opium. From the sale of pharmaceutical companies, taxes are taken from the government and then utilized in part to fund other wars. And every day people buy these medicines that should be labeled poisons containing opium or some form of opium in them. I see no hope for change in this region because people value the money more than they do the lives of others and even themselves. So many people are addicted to it worldwide, and the growers of the substance are somewhat addicted to it as well, as the substance seeps into the skin, causing them to absorb some of the opium. Even if people learned that what they were taking wasn't medicine but toxins and poisons, they would still probably buy the substance and distance themselves from any responsibility on their part that they are destroying their bodies and enabling others to do evil in other parts of the world. Now it should be clear why they call this the triangle of death.